We're going to talk about how you can get a unicorn. Welcome back to Pars and Pours, the golf-centric whiskey channel, where we're going to be talking whiskey reviews, golf items, whatever we can talk, where we can blend them together, because both items are incredibly social. And what we're going to talk about today is making a unicorn, or actually making your own unicorn, or even finding your own unicorn. Let's do some of those. So if you're like me, and I am just not one of those guys that's going to stand in line for hours and hours on end to just grab that one particular bottle. Number one, I work a full-time job outside of this, and just getting in line for something down in here in Ohio is typically in the middle of the week. I can't afford to go do that, right? I have to take care of business. Now, the other part of this is that because of my service in the Navy, my idea of standing in line doesn't happen too very often. Now, I have stood in line for some particular bottles before, but that was when all the stars aligned, right? When it was a weekend day, just happened to have a drop. Yeah, I think I'll take it, and I'm not staying over there overnight or sitting in chairs a couple hours in advance. That I can handle. So with the fact that I live in a small town, all these things, how does one go and get something that is unique? So number one is, what does the whiskey universe think a unicorn is? Right? So go to the Google and you get your you get your answer, and it says, you know, it is small batch, it's rare, it is hard to get a hold of, and very desirable, right? So that's what we're going to go with, the very desirable and or the rare. All right, now I'm sure there are other, conditions in order to be a unicorn, but we're going to say this is what it is for this particular video. So this last weekend, I went down to Bardstown and visited Heaven Hill. Heaven Hill has an experience called You Do Bourbon. You Do Bourbon consists of going down there and you listen to the presenter, the person leading you through the experience, about 4 different brands. One is what they call the select stock, which of course I've got one of those as well. And they tell you the history of how Heaven Hill was put together with the Shapiro brothers. Another one is the Bernheim, where they talk about Reverend Bernheim and how he had all this amazing property, and how he gave a lot of it away to or willed it to the state of Kentucky as this huge gift to the state of Kentucky, amongst other things. I'm going to very shorten it because I don't want to ruin it for you in case you go. The other one is that then you started talking about Elijah Craig. All right, Elijah Craig is what they call the godfather of bourbon. We'll go into that a little bit more. And then the other one is larceny. And you saw if you haven't seen it, go check out my other video on reviewing a larceny bottle where we talk about how it got theirs. So back to the idea of Elijah Craig. Okay, they give Elijah Craig the father of bourbon mostly because of the charred barreled experience, or the charred barreled history of that. So there are a couple of ridiculous ones out there where they talk about the fire. One of his barrels caught on fire and it charred the inside, and he's like, oh, this is really great stuff, except for how did it not char the outside? I mean, there's all these questions. Whiskey lore is full of all really neat stories, most of which are only believably true if you want it to be. But they are phenomenal stories, and we love each one of them, to be sure. One that's most plausible is that Elijah Craig was an entrepreneur as well as a distiller, and what he was doing is trying to figure out how to save a little bit of money and reusing barrels. And so that he would scrape out the innards of pickle barrels and all kinds of other barrels and then rechar them, and then put his distilled product into them and send them down to Louisiana, New Orleans. And when it got there, it had gone from a clear distillate to something that had the brown on it. And the people are like, well, we like that brown liquid. Now, at the time, a lot of the bourbon companies were in Bourbon County. And so they said, send us some of that bourbon. And again, this is another story. And that's where they talk about how this gets born. That was before any of the requirements and all the other stuff. So, you know, you get, well, Jim, they didn't have the new oak barrel. True, but that requirement wasn't there when that was part of that. All right, so that's all done. And I'm sure we'll go and talk about Elijah Craig a few more times. You can tell I've got a handful of bottles here. Now, what the deal is with this experience is, what they let you sample is these, you know, like this one, this is a select small batch of barrels, at least for that select stock. Now, in Elijah Craig and Bernheim and also Larceny, they are all specific batches that were picked in order to be part of this experience. Now, what does that mean? So what you get to do is you get through a tasting. You taste the select stock, the Bernheim, the Elijah Craig, and the Larceny, and you get to see the different flavors, or smell the different flavors, taste the different flavors, and figure out which one that you like, which is another beautiful part about being able to go down to these places, and you get to pick your unicorn that you like, right? The unicorn that you like. How could this not be a great thing? So now once you decide that you want that, you get to choose which bottle that you would want to take home with you, and at a cost. And it's really cool that these bottles aren't accelerated or aren't elevated in price as far as what you might get out into the marketplace, particularly those in non-controlled states. And in a controlled state, this is very, very close to what I can get it here in Ohio in an A batch or a C batch or even a B batch. Okay, so it's not over the top. So again, you get to hear the stories, you get to taste the product, and you get to pick which one you want if you want to. There's no requirement for you to pick it, but why would you go there and not pick one? And then you get the experience to bottle it. Now, just before bottling, they explain, just as I was saying before, among the other products that Elijah Craig releases, toasted, rye, barrel proofs, the PGA bottle, hence Pars and Pours, and then they have the coveted A, B, and C batch, which in themselves maybe not so rare, but they may not get everywhere, and particularly not at the same time. This, when you go to this experience, it's called a Y batch. All right, and it's a Y batch to signify you only got it from that. You get that Y batch, and it's only the Y batch that you can get from Heaven Hill at the experience for this one product, and it has its own category whatsoever. For example, this is the B524, and it is 11 years old at 130. This is my first. This is the last one we just did. This is the one I collected when I was down there. This is a 134.4, 167.2, and when they told us it was at least 10 years when we got that one. This one is the A125 at 10 years and 118. And then the one we're all sampling, the one I got last year, is a 123, 61.5 by volume, and that is a Y1124, where this one is called, this one's going to be called a Y325. So it gives you the month and the year, right? And so they're all going to have their own different flavors. Personally, I think it's great. You get to pick what you want, taste what you want, bottle it, right? And you get to bottle it. So when you get into the bottling aspect, you have to go through a few procedures in order to put the bottle, be able to put the product in the bottle. First and foremost is washing it and air drying it, because when you wash it with the water, you don't want any of that water to potentially dull down the volume, or the alcohol by volume. So what you do is you put it into an air, and when you put it in the air, it blows it out at a high rate, and as you see, that it's kind of frosts up the bottle, and then you shake it just to make sure. Then you go over to the machine and you fill up the tube that's just above your fill-in point, and you allow it to get all the way full and let all those bubbles escape, because you don't want to let one drop out. And then you pull the other handle and you let it fill until it's completely full. Then finally what you do is you put the cork in it, and then you take it over to a table, and you get to put labels on them. And when you put the labels on them, there's a spot on the label that talks about bottled by. And bottled by is your own fingerprint for that particular bottle. You have to put the bottled day and the proof, the alcohol volume, and the batch number on there to be sure. But you got to put on this one. So this one said McGolf for my golf business, and then the other one says Pars and Pours for the channel. So here we are doing that one. So today we're going to compare the unicorn. So I got the A125 on this side, and I got the unicorn from 24 on this side, and we're going to just kind of compare. We have all four, but I'm not going to throw down all four of them because that would be, I want to be able to walk away from the video. Let's start with the nose from the A125. Once you get the ethanol out of the way, you get hit with a whole bunch of the caramel, vanilla type flavors. That was the other part about going to this experience. Within one of the lab areas, they have an aroma bank, and you can go and try and guess the different aromas of at least 12 or 15 different tubes. It's really interesting what you would find out. Yeah, but heavy on the caramels, heavy on the vanillas. Not a lot of char, not a lot of, I wouldn't say any more on that depth on that one. On this one, a darker tone. This one you do get the barrel char. You get a little bit of vanilla and almost a, I won't say a sugary kind of flavor, but definitely oak, definitely vanilla, and a little deeper, a little darker. Okay, now back to this one for the palate. Cheers. First sip of the day, and in typical Elijah Craig format, you get hit with a lot of the flavors that you just nosed right up front, and then it goes straight to the back for that finish, or the Kentucky hug that they want to give you, and a little bit, I'll say a little bit drying in the middle. Again, a little light when you get to the second time through it. A lighter note. I won't say fruity, but a lighter note, like almost like a lighter candy flavor almost. Yeah, and the same thing. We still get the vanillas, and you still get the caramels in there. The middle of the palate, it still takes on those qualities, but starts to, I wanted to say drying earlier. It's there, it's drying, but it's not like the Sahara Desert kind of dry, just drier. And then into the back is the lingering finish, which I've still got right now. Now that we've got this one, again, it's just deeper and darker than the A125. Yeah, that's just a quality of bourbon that's just a step above it. What you get is, now you get like like darker, sweeter tones that are just a whole nother level of deeper. All right, a whole nother level of deeper, and it's so much nicer. And what you don't get, you still get the finish, but it's not that just grab a hold of you in the back and it's just going to stay there forever. This one is what I would say more calm when you drink it, just way more calm. Yeah, just all I can say is if you take this one and you let it be, and just took it and made it deeper and a little bit older, and I think even maybe just a hair sweeter. Now the middle palate where it's talked about drying, that's gone. You get this nice smooth transition from the front to the middle, and then into the back you get what I would say is a very solid finish. It is not one that's going to strangle you just like the first one does, but the second one's just really raring to go. Now you're like, Jim, well, you got this one that you just put up there. How come you're not trying this one? It's because I tried it 2 days ago, and when I tried it 2 days ago, it was very, very much in the same condition that this is. And you go, well, how do you know it's not the same barrel? Well, because they tell us it's not the same barrel. And because they go through a lot of these things, is a lot of people go through this. Now, not everybody will choose a Elijah Craig. They may choose a Larceny or Bernheim or whatever in order to get to that. So it takes a bit to get through it. So if you're looking for something that's, you like Elijah Craig and you, boy, I just wish it was something a little darker. Well, then here's your ability to make your own unicorn because it is of a Y batch. So when everybody's talking about, oh, I got the A, B, or C, or I got the toasted, you can walk in and go, ta-da, I have got this one. And it's a Y batch, and it's going to be darker, right? It's going to be just way more, we'll say, complex because you can tell that there are layers here. Versus, it's a good bourbon, don't get me wrong, in the A and B and C's. This one's just better, hence the idea of being a unicorn. Alrighty. So if you have the opportunity to go do bourbon your way at Heaven Hill, I would recommend it highly in order to do that. And for those that are a little bit further out, sorry, that's the game of unicorns. And but if you want to do that, now we're going to talk more about making other unicorns because, again, as we've told you, we've finished the Bourbon Trail, and there are more ideas like this out there that people are just missing when they're doing that. So hopefully we can help guide you along the Bourbon Trail when it's going on. So hopefully you like it. Like and subscribe. Hit that stuff across the bottom so this stuff gets out to other places so that we can grow our subscribership. And again, as always, enjoy your pars and enjoy your pours.